Hi everyone, and welcome to day 2 of Unit 1, Chapter 1, Lesson 2. Again, we split up this lesson because we found it very important to explain the CER. You're going to be using the CER writing method to respond to a scientific question today. The question is not necessarily difficult, but we want to make sure you're practicing writing in the format and getting the information you need to help solve the unit problem, which is how do we get energy to the rescue workers without plugging it into a wall. So yesterday you should have done a CER regarding Coca-Cola and Taylor Swift. A CER identifies your claim or your response, provides evidence which are facts which can be found either in text, observations, lab reports, or scientific laws. We will use all of these kinds of evidence to support our answers, but we also need to provide reasoning. Reasoning explains to the reader why what you have or what you're stating is true. So we're gonna build 3 systems. The 3 systems we're going to build is a solar cell system, a battery system, and a hand crank generator system. Remember that a system is a set of things that work together. So if you look at the systems, we find that we have pretty much the same thing besides the source. So they both have 2 alligator clips, which are the red wires. They have a motor, a fan, and then they differ by having either a hand crank, a battery system, and a solar system. So if we're trying to decide whether or not something has energy, we have to think back to our definition of energy, which is that it has the ability to make something change or move. In this case, we're looking to see if the fan moves. So we have 2 claims or 2 answers. Since this is a yes or no question, the answers are either yes, all systems do have energy, or no, not all the systems have energy. But to answer this question, we have to look at subgroups or subclaims and identify all 3 systems and whether or not they have energy. Once we have all 3 subclaims, then we can identify if yes, all of them do have energy, or no, they do not all have energy. You're going to be completing this chart on Amplify. Again, I'm going to go over quickly how to get onto Amplify. Now, if you were in class yesterday, I reminded you that I want you to make sure that before every class, you log into Amplify by going onto the Teach Hub, clicking Clever, and then finally clicking Amplify. Now, I ask that you do this every day, no matter what. Even if I post the link inside of Google Classroom, it's always best to log into Amplify, as it will make sure that when you click the link, it brings you to the right place. Now, I'm going to go back to Teach Hub just to click on Google Classroom so that we can all work on this. If you click on Google Classroom, I have already posted the link to this. So this is Lesson 7, Class Activity 3 and 4. Now, when I click on here, because I've already logged in, it's automatically going to bring me to the correct page. Now, this is the safety guidelines for investigations. And again, as a reminder, all scientific investigations or labs, it's very important that you follow all my safety guidelines. Now, you can either click on 2, which would bring you to the second page of the investigation, or simply click the next button. Now, I apologize, this is the teacher's guide. Now, here you'll see that the three systems are here. And we're looking at possible subclaims. And again, this is labeled subclaims. And I'm going to clear this out just because I worked on it earlier. Sorry about that. And we're going to test each system. And at the end of testing each system, we're going to identify whether or not the system has energy. And again, keeping in mind that the definition of energy is that it has the ability to move or change. Hi everyone, and welcome to my living room / one of our many science labs we're going to have this year. So we were talking about the three systems and trying to decide whether or not all three systems have energy. But to make that claim, we have to come up with subclaims on whether or not these systems do in fact all have energy. So we're going to test the three systems, and I'm going to show you this part. I'm going to keep this part exactly the same because in the system models, they all had the two wires connecting to the motor and then to the fan. So the only portions that change are either it's a hand crank, battery, or solar cell. Let's start with the battery, mostly because this one's pretty easy to determine as we have a lot of experience with this. So I'm going to take the sides, and I put the battery in a battery holder because I just don't have enough hands. So the battery holder is simply just plastic with metal attached to the end pieces that I would normally just click them to. So I'm going to clip it to one side. And then with the other hand, I'm going to clip to the last side. And almost instantly, we start to see that the fan moves. And by definition, any has the ability to change or move, it has energy. So right away, we can determine that the battery system has energy. Now, I'm going to do something pretty cool, is I'm actually going to do this very slow, and hopefully I can probably get this into slow motion on my edits. But I'm going to take this and I'm going to just spin it just slightly. And I want you to notice that the direction is going this way, right? Now, if I take the wires and I switch the sides of the battery that it's located, it actually begins to spin in the opposite direction. We're going to talk more about that later on, but it's just a fun fact to keep in mind. So let me detach this from the battery cell and add it to the hand crank. And now I'm going to ask somebody to be my hand crank model. Would you like to be my hand crank model? I need a hand crank model. Just put your hand in the video to hold it up. Okay. Hand crank model. Now, I only need it because I need two hands. So I'm going to take this and add it to the generator on the hand crank. And tilt. Thank you. And just like that, we can see that this has energy. And just like the battery cell, if I go the other way, I can make it dance. And if I switch the sides of the power on these, and it would actually also switch the hand crank direction. Again, we'll learn more about that later on. Thank you, hand crank model. But you're not done. No. So I'm going to test the last system to see if it has energy. As the first two systems did make the fan spin, showing that it did have energy, we're going to test the last one. Now, if the last one does have energy, then we can make our final claim that all of them have energy. Hand crank model, fan model. Now, I'm going to take my solar cell. I'm just taking out the plastics just so that it could get direct light. Now, the recording of this video is at night, On the back, it has the plus and minus sign, simply just like a battery would have a plus and minus side. And as you can predict, if you switch the sides, the fan will change direction. So here I am, and I put this here. Now, this is an artificial sun. This is an incandescent light bulb, and I chose this one because it actually produces more heat and light than light. We talked about that with the LED light. The LED light produced such low amount of energy that it would not be anywhere close to the sun. And even this is nowhere near the amount of energy that the sun would be giving off. But it's not daytime right now, so I kind of have to do it this way. So here we go. Almost instantly, it begins to move. I use this to take all my Instagram pictures. But notice once I take it away from the solar cell, it stops. And I want you to keep that in mind for later on in the unit, that once the sun goes away, the fan stops spinning. We might need to add something to our system if we want to make this the final answer. Thank you, model. I would have been the hand model, but my hands are not that cute. And so here I am back on Amplify, and you should actually have been on this page. Now I've already filled out the sections where, let me zoom in. I filled out that the battery system made the fan move. Also, following the evidence line, the hand crank system made the fan move, and so did the solar cell system. Now this matters because, and this is all pretty much the same. When something moves, it has energy. We're trying to prove if all the systems have energy, and we know the definition of energy is the ability to make something change or move. For our subclaims, we can make that each system did, in fact, have energy. And for our overall, that would mean that all the systems do have energy. When you're done, make sure you click the Submit or Next Activity button. And you'll see here it says whenever something moves or changes, it's because of energy. This is a key concept. This is a science fact that you can use over and over again as evidence in this unit and all the future units. Now in the homework section, you'll notice that there are 3 pages. Make sure you complete all 3 pages, and when you get to page 3, you'll have the option to hand in. That would mark it as complete. And when you're going over these objects, keep in mind that energy is the ability to make things move or change. Doesn't mean that they're always making things move or change. It just means it has the ability. I'll see you guys next week.